Thank you. And I came into this really because as an athlete, we talk about resilience, and that's one of the words I guess I've taken from being an athlete into now working with kids who've got lots of challenges and lots of labels. And one of the biggest things is about labels. We attach labels to everything. We attach it to an innate object like the floor, but we also attach it to a person, and that could be you and it could be me. But if somebody knows that I've got a label that says disability or wheelchair user, straight away they've impeded what I can do. Straight away they've put limits on what I can do. And yet as a Paralympian and as an athlete, I don't have limits on me. And yet I walk out of that world and into the real world, you could argue, because sport and elite sport is an artificial world in some ways. It's incredible because we get to share it with you and we get to experience things that perhaps you would never be able to build on and never be able to make happen if you weren't an athlete. But at the same time, it means that you're in a bubble world and you don't really see those things because you get access to things. So in Paralympic sport now, we do get access to the facility to train at altitude or in chambers, to have testing, the things that we didn't, when I first started as an athlete, even in 2006, it wasn't a parity with the Olympic teams. It's still not equal, but it looks more equal on the outside than it perhaps is on the inside, but it's still a lot more equal than the real world. So when you come out of sport, I found that really hard. I found the last year, and that's not been helped with lockdowns and things as well, but it has been really challenging, and I've needed all of my strength as an athlete, more than I did when I was an athlete, to actually become who I am and just be me. And those labels that we attach and how we look at things, I started working in service as I came out of sport, something I've always wanted to do, a job that I've really wanted to manufacture, and I've worked with a number of people to try and get to that position that job could be offered, so that it gave people like myself who were using that service life, sort of lived experience, but also being able to bring in my professional work to be able to work within that service. I started in lockdown, and when I was first working with those people, colleagues, a lot of it was online. And then once I started working in clinical settings, obviously I was in, but most of those service providers knew me already. But the people that didn't know me straight away made assumptions, even though I was wearing branded kit for that job, for that clinical setting. They didn't see that, they saw the chair. And I was told so many times that I'd come to the wrong entrance, I was in the wrong place, that's where I should be. I shouldn't be in the clinical room, and I shouldn't be leading that assessment. And I found that really, really challenging. But I also found the communication with some of the people that come into that service really, really challenging, because they were ignored. They weren't listened to. They weren't even involved in something that was so critical and so crucial to them living, let alone being able to then be part of the world that we live in together. Because we don't really live in it together, do we? Because you're either disabled and you kind of fit in enough-ish on a good day, if somebody kind of thinks it's okay, or you fit in a day centre, or you fit in a residential centre. And there's not a lot of in between of that. So the people that saw me, that had seen me only on like Teams meetings and things, the first time I went in, again, in kit, with my lanyard on, totally ignored me and told me that I was in the wrong place. And yet, if I'd gone in my gold medal on, it would have been really different. And suddenly it's like, oh, great, can you come in, can you do this? And suddenly things that actually matter a lot in schools and in places that I go into actually get forgotten, because suddenly the gold medal opens up doors. And it's really interesting. So that gold medal is incredible, and it has opened doors, and it's given me incredible opportunities, absolutely amazing things. And it's given me travel, it's given me just going and having those conversations with people, and also hopefully going into schools and giving them a chance to believe in themselves. So if it's, for whatever reason, every school actually has a massive variety in it, and quite often around here, particularly with some of the private schools, it's very much seen as it's a private school, so it's okay, they don't need extra input, they're all right. And actually, There's not. That's not the case. Every child has loads of different struggles, whether they've come from a really wealthy family or a really poor, struggling family. Actually, the only constant is whether your parents love you. It doesn't then matter all of the other bits. That child can still struggle, mental health struggles, disabilities, special needs, so many things. That doesn't change. And so when you then or you kind of look at that as a way of looking at people, we then kind of go back to that labels of how you see that person and what you're going to do with them, how they can work. But in a centre and in a service where we're delivering something which is crucial to that person to be able to enable them to integrate and live their lives, and it's the lived bit that's really important, because actually the amount of people I know and now work with who have been at home on their own for nothing to do with lockdown, irrelevant, but have been on their own, they live on their own. They may have carers going in 3 times a day or 4 times a day, but they don't actually do anything. They don't go anywhere because they don't have any transport, or they don't have the confidence. No one's ever shown them how to get on a bus in a chair. No one's ever, and that caused chaos when I took somebody on the bus working with them. Oh my goodness, the fact that I was the kind of support worker with that person and a chair user, it was like, that was way out of that poor guy's way out of his comfort zone. But it's things like that. It's just so interesting because straight away, again, I get judged as not being able to do it. And I'm working with a number of children now, so I've moved away from the service I was in because the role that I was in there for was not going to happen, because it was being seen through my chair. It wasn't being seen through what I was offering and what I was putting into that service. So I'm sort of taking a massive step and a jump that I perhaps didn't really want to take at the moment, but it's also really exciting. So is going into working with special education needs, working with children with physical disabilities in mainstream schools who are really struggling. But because there's a ramp, or because there's something else in place, people think, oh, it's all right, they can manage, it's fine, that it's all sorted. It's not. It's really not. Not in any school is it sorted yet to be able to make that child believe. So even if they're there, they don't believe they're there, and they don't believe they're there on equal terms. Because if I don't, and I can bring a gold medal along, and I don't get treated in that way, how's the child who can't communicate or only communicates through an ACC, so an assistive device in communication technology, how's that child going to be seen and be part of it? Because they're not. I promise you they're not. So there's a lot of children who I'm now working with one-to-one, going into schools, and that's fantastic because that is where the gold medal has opened doors, and hopefully to benefit those children, because I'm now able to go in and deliver bespoke services and into people's homes, so that it's not limited by what somebody else thinks it should be. It's limited by what I believe and by what I see that they can do or can't do. There's a little boy quite locally who's an 11-year-old boy. He went to school, absolutely, and he never came home in the sense of coming home to be able to talk, to be able to move. A catastrophic accident, but he's now got a catastrophic brain injury. He had no oxygen for 6 minutes after he had his heart attack at the age of 11. He's now home. He's got the most incredible family who absolutely believe that he's going to be part of their family still because he's their son. And absolutely, but they've had to fight to get people to understand that he's still their child and that they actually really want him home. And they've got 3 other boys, and then she got pregnant the week of his accident. And so she's just had this little boy home, and she's got a 5-week-old baby at the same time, as well as the other boys. And it wasn't what they planned. I don't think it'd be what any of us would actually plan in that point. But none of us know what's going to happen tomorrow. I didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. I was a runner. I had an Olympic dream. I was going to be a runner. Yeah, okay, I'm pretty rubbish at running now, but actually also there's an amazing running club now, which I'm part of as well, ironically, locally, who are fantastic. And that's been really helpful for me because they've not seen the chair and it's not mattered to them. I just fit in a group and I kind of go the same speed. I go a lot faster downhill, but then I kind of uphill, they're always like, oh, okay. And then, but actually, if you put a buggy board on the back, not that you're meant to do that, obviously, but actually that's also quite good fun for people. You can kind of, mess around a bit as well. And also, at Alice Holt, there's a dog wash bit, and I came back from one of the cross-country runs, and I'd literally gone to mud above my wheels. I've got another chair, don't worry. But I'd gone to mud above it, and it was a nightmare. And ended up getting in the dog wash, as you do, because you fit without legs, so it's perfect. Sorry, you can laugh, it's fine. And but I was so surprised it had hot water in it, so it was amazing. So I had a proper wash, and by the time I went home, and my chair was clean, it was incredible. But none of those guys are putting labels and limits on me in that sense. They found it difficult to start with, but I'd rather somebody speaks, as with this little boy who's going to talk through assistive technology, because I'm not going to give up on him. He is being given up on, left, right and centre. But I saw him the week after his accident when he was still in critical care, and he had these amazing eyes that looked at me, and he's stunningly beautiful. I know 11-year-old boy would hate me saying that, but he is amazingly gorgeous. And he's got incredible eyes, which are going to help him so much now. He has no control over anything else. But those eyes are controlling his communication. He will learn to use assistive technology, because I'm not going to give up on him, and he's already learning and understanding. He has complete comprehension still. So he knows everything that's going on, and he's terrified. But by talking to him and believing and letting him know that I believe in him and showing him what's around, his tone, so his reaction, which is very tight and very reactive, drops, because he knows that his family and other people are not giving up on him. So please, I guess, don't see people through labels. They are people, they're not innate objects. And also, don't let people not be part of something just because they don't talk or communicate in the way that you and I might do. There's so many different disabilities out there, so many special needs. None of us actually, even if we think we're perfect, are actually always we're not. And it's not about being perfect. It's about who you are and what you want and how you want to do it. But don't give up on anyone. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.